Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing good. So today's video is going to be, well, you've seen the title, it's my Oracle deck collection and I'm going to be playing with some pairs. So a few months ago, I did a video called something like, why do I struggle with Oracle decks? What's my problem with Oracle decks? In which I kind of discussed why I struggle with Oracle decks and why at that point I've not been able to get them to work for me, all that kind of thing. And I showed you the Oracle decks that I at that point had in my collection, as well as ranted about an Oracle deck that I had recently bought and hated. So that one will not be appearing today. If you want to see what it was and hear me rant a bit about why I dislike quite a large group of Oracle decks and how they make me feel kind of, ooh, they just seem kind of icky and gross, then go watch that video. But I am going to do another sort of installment. In my head, I've been calling these Oracle Diaries, so that might be what I end up titling this video. So I am going to do a kind of update on where I'm at with Oracle decks, how I've been incorporating them into my practice, all that kind of stuff. But today, I kind of just wanted to play with some pairs, and I do have several more Oracle decks in my collection than I did in that last video. So this video is going to be trying to find pairs for every single Oracle deck in my collection. So it's a collection video and yeah, pairing them with some tarot decks. So I'm going to get my coffee out of the way. I did not realise quite how badly creased this is going to show up on camera until... does that sit there? Is that gonna fall? Who knows? Until I switch the camera on, it's looking very scrunchy in my viewfinder, but what am I gonna do? Iron? Absolutely not. So I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna begin with the Oracle decks that I have had in my collection since that last video. So this is the Outgrow Yourself. It's a tarot and oracle. It's based on the Thoth system. So should we zoom in? And then it doesn't matter if my coffee cup is in the way. Ooh. So I edged this in this yellow to match the backs. So this is based off the Thoth deck. So we've got the Thoth titles at the bottom, we've got artwork, and then a phrase, which is the kind of oracle portion of this. I use this all the time. I think it's a really, really fantastic deck, and I like the phrases. They're like kind of advice. Like I know a lot of Oracle decks are kind of advice decks, and I don't jive with a lot of those out there. I think it depends on tone, and this just has a tone that I really like. Like, you have everything you need, find your purpose, don't forget to water your plants. Like, a lot of it is quite positive, not all of it, because it ties in with the Thoth card and the Thoth meaning as well. So a lot of it, like, burn it to the ground, much less light and fluffy. Like it skews, I just like it. That's all there is to it. So that is the Outgrow Yourself. And as for pairs, this is the Tarot de Carlotydes. I've heard it say Carlotydes. I'm not sure, but this is that deck. It's a Fournier deck. I'm pretty sure I've shown this pairing before. Let's bring that down so it looks a little bit more even. Zoom you in. So this mainly is inspired by the backs, like it's got that black and that floral, and also I just think that the style of the drawing really works. So I feel like the line art is kind of similar, as in the actual line work. Like this has this watercolory texture in the oracle, in the colours, and then this is more like flat colours and shading. But I just feel like they really complement each other visually. And I also quite like the whimsical nature of the Tarot Carlotydes. I just think contrasts and complements quite nicely the artwork in the Outgrow Yourself, which is kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I want to say spiky women, not visually. I actually quite like how the bodies are shown, like, you know, they're like normal looking, real looking, I should say, bodies. They're a bit lumpy, there's like body hair and cellulite and stuff. But the energy of these is spiky. And I just feel like, I don't know, I quite like it against the tarot. So that is my first pairing. And I know that this works because I have used it before. This is another Fournier deck. This is the Tarot del Fuego. And I have no reason to believe that this would work, quite frankly. I just want to try it. The weather is an English summer, which means it's raining and it's grey, but also the sun keeps coming out, so I have no idea what the lighting is doing. I hope this shows up okay. I think it might just be the yellow that I like so much, but I feel like the colours work, because like obviously there's these yellow borders. The Tarot del Fuego is quite bright, bold colours, and then although again it's very watercolory in the Oracle, the colour palette is fairly similar. Like there's a lot of this yellow, which I think is why I think it works. And especially in this little trio. So you've got the Tower and the Three of Swords, which, you know, bad vibes traditionally. And then Welcome Everything with the Ace of Wands in the centre. Like, the chaos I enjoy, I think, because this is quite a chaotic looking deck, the Tarot del Fuego. And again, there's this kind of like spiky energy to the Outgrow Yourself Oracle. It feels to me, it feels positive, not in the sense of like, oh, think positive and everything will be fine and love and light and all that, but it's positive in the sense of like, it's like aggressive, furious positivity. Is that a thing? Like just like the energy of this deck is like, shit happens and the only way to be positive about some things is to just like really just be like aggressively positive. And so like welcome everything in the face of the Tower and the Three of Swords with the expression on this figure's face of like, I don't know, kind of consternation. I feel like that really works. So yeah, let's do a couple more. 10 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles. What do you need to take the first step? And I don't know what most of these correspond to because I do not know my Thoth titles. Yeah, because these are, I know I know the 8 of Pentacles isn't the culmination of the suit. That would be the 10. The 10 of Cups obviously is the culmination of the cup suits, and then the 8 of Pentacles is this kind of perfection, and it's having kind of perfected a craft is how I often see it. And so having these surrounding what do you need to do to take the first step, I really like that. I really like these two together. You know, sometimes I know what I'm doing. Trust your tools, Knight of Cups and King of Wands. I think it's interesting that we've got these two court cards, these like the King of Wands, very much like a position of responsibility, and the Knight of Cups again, it's like, you know, if you think of the hierarchy of the court, the Knight is carrying out, is questing for the kingdom, I guess. And so they both have quite a lot of responsibility, and then trust your tools to like carry out those responsibilities, especially with the Knight of Cups, with this horse and this tree growing out of the cup here. Like you have everything you need, and that's kind of the key message of the Magician a lot of the time, is that you can create anything because you have all the tools at your disposal. I really like this pairing. I'm just realizing now that I have a lot of decks to get through, and so I need to stop talking. Again, this like furious positivity, this like what's the word? It's not paradoxical, it's I don't know, aggressive positivity in the face of surrounding chaos. And then we have blossom as the keyword for death, which I really like. I feel like it definitely is speaking to that regeneration aspect of death, but less softly, or less kind of positive. I don't know, Blossom just feels different to me. That probably didn't make any sense, but anyway. And then, yeah, Blossom with the Ace of Swords and this kind of new inspiration, which again, it's like, well, the aces are usually really good, right? But then this is quite a scary looking Ace of Swords with the bleeding. So it's like, yeah, seize the opportunity, even if it guts you, or seize the idea. And then the Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment, but then here the cups are upside down and everything's draining out. It's like a weird juxtaposition. I think juxtaposition might be the word I was looking for. Anyway, I'm gonna leave these here, or this really is gonna be an exceedingly long video. So that was 2 Fournier decks coming in very clutch for the Outgrow Yourself. And I don't think I have anything else sitting out here that I really want to try with this. But I haven't tried the Del Fuego before, so that was really cool. Okay, so the other deck that you will have seen in the previous video, if you watched the previous video, is the Reclaim Oracle. And this is a feelings deck with a limited colour palette and these great, like, blobby people. Again, I love me a blobby figure. The, yeah, I much enjoy, or much prefer a blobby, wobbly person as opposed to a like sculpted unrealistic beauty standard person. Anyways, so that is the Reclaim Oracle, and I have a few decks I want to try this with actually. So first up is the Midnight Magic, which is a mushroom deck, which I know I have spoken about on several occasions. And I feel like it's maybe pretty obvious why I want to try these two together. It's because they have the black background. Wow, I am seriously struggling with holding on to cards. Yeah, so they both have the black background, which is why I wanted to try them together. This one is slipping and sliding all over the shop. So yeah, Disgust, Three of Pentacles and the Emperor. This isn't how I'd read this deck, or at least, you know, never say never. This isn't how I currently read with this deck with tarot, like framing it like this, but this is just a nice way to see if they're working. And I think they are, you know. I think, especially because, like, say with this, like I've mentioned, these people are very blobby and I quite like it, but like there's a lot of roundness, and then with the mushrooms, of course, there's a lot of roundness. And then this being a very limited colour palette, obviously just the black and the pink, I feel like it really works with this much more colourful on a black background kind of colour palette. So I'm enjoying that. Oh, do you know what? I quite like fairness between the Five of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles though. The King being somebody who's meant to provide, and the Five being that sense of not having enough resources, of struggling, of being left out in the cold. I do quite like that. Anyway, so that is the Midnight Magic. Right, so the Guardian of the Night is the deck that I have shown before that I use with this tarot. So this is the deck that I've read with this before, purely because it's kind of a bit gentle, and again, it's set at nighttime, so it kind of works aesthetically. But the way that I actually use this with tarot is I'll pull a card either at random, or I'll kind of flick through and see what's resonating. I'll pull a card and then I'll pull it with, and then I'll pull a tarot card at random. Oh, Revenge and the King of Cups, interesting. And so, like, say, revenge, typically not a feeling that I want to be feeling. So I'd be sort of asking the cards how to mitigate that feeling, or how to kind of work with it. And so with the King of Cups here, it's like, well, you've got to master your emotions, obviously, which is, honestly, it's like being told to calm down during a panic attack. So yeah, and I'd, you know, flick through, say I draw the Acceptance card with the Nine of Swords. It's like, well, you do have to accept the bad with the good, accept the things that you fear, and then maybe you stop fearing them so much. And especially with the imagery here of her kind of outgrowing her space, maybe. I feel like that's not what it's meant to signify. But that is what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing her in this kind of house that can't really contain her. Like she's rooting down through the earth, and it's like cracks in the walls here. and if the more you try and resist, the harder it is to accept. And I think that's definitely true of the things you fear and the things you have nightmares about. So that is the Guardian of the Night, which I still read. I probably read most often with this deck because they both sit next to my bed, and this will be the kind of, this is the equivalent to like a journaling practice that a lot of people might do. Instead of actually writing about my feelings, I just pull cards about them. Okay, and then I do have some more decks that I think might look good together. So I have here the Fyodor Pavlov. I think this might work because it has that limited colour palette. Because each card kind of only has one colour and then the black in the background. And the black line work is really important in this art style. So I feel like that will work with the amount of black that there is in the Reclaim. And I think definitely some cards work better than others, but I do quite like it. Interesting to see stability between the kind of fast moving action of the Eight of Wands and that like fantasy and inability to choose of the Seven of Cups. Those are quite like unstable places to be. Respect between two fours, which ironically the fours are supposed to represent stability or of course instability, but anyway. And then respect, and this does seem to be about like respecting boundaries is what I get from this card. So it actually works quite well with the fours, to be honest, with this imagery, like respect your own boundaries, respect other people's boundaries. And then here we've got the stability / instability of the fours. So not my favourite, just visually, but I do think it works. And then finally, I want to try with the Reclaim Yourself is the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. I've spoken about this a bunch. This was in my deck declutter video a while back, and then I brought it back a little bit more recently because I saw Candy Soul and Soil put this in her summer decks video, and I thought, hey, I want to do that. So I've kind of been pulling it back out, and I think again the line work, the outlines with the shapes and the kind of simplicity and the flatness of this deck might work. And I think I like this more than the Fyodor Pavlov, surprisingly. Rejection between death and the universe. God, that's a bit intense, isn't it? Limitation between the Lovers and the Two of Pentacles. Well, that's very interesting paired with the Lovers, because the Lovers is so much, to me, it's about making a choice and making a commitment. And so to kind of pair that with limitation and with this person pushing another away, it's like there has to be limits to that commitment. You can't let yourself drown in it. So that's cool. Yeah, I think I like these together. This might be the secret to the Cosmic Slumber, because I pulled this out to pair with the Rain Coast, which I was in a recent unboxing / playing with pairs, and I liked the look of it. Was it with the Rain Coast? Yes, it was with the Rain Coast. I liked the look of it with that, and I'm liking the look of this with this, because I struggle to actually read with this deck, so I think reading it with other things is probably the way to go, and especially reading it with an oracle, where I'm being a bit more intuitive and a bit less reliant on card meanings. So freedom with the Five of Torches, which is the Five of Wands. And this does not at all represent to me the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands being about some kind of competition or argument. And for me, it's, well, you can't have 5 top priorities. You've got to pick something. If you're trying to fight 5 different arguments, then you're going to lose. And with this, I'm getting this kind of striving upwards and climbing, and that's all I'm seeing here. I don't see how that relates to the Five of Wands. But then this image paired with freedom I quite like, because it's like that striving for your own freedom and kind of having to carry your own torches up, which I like that a lot more. So I think that is a pairing I'm gonna have a play with. Okay, so that was the oracle decks that you've seen before, and now we are going to move on to oracle decks that, well, have shown up on my channel, but I haven't done in any kind of collection video. I am gonna just go through the ones that I know that I have shown on my channel before. So this is the Mystic Martian in this very cool shiny silver box, and this is, I just thought this was weird and that I would like it because it's weird. Have I read with this a whole ton? No, because I struggle a little bit with some of the like alien stuff. It gets a bit like starseedy and that's not my vibe. Paired it with the Feldman sisters. I have an unboxing for this. I think it's the backs that really do it for me. Oh, it's just weird art style, weird in a good way. I say that in a very positive way. It's why I wanted and like this deck. And I think the color palettes don't quite work. And it doesn't quite work together, but I think you can really just play into the strangeness of the imagery when working with this, and you can kind of do a little bit of like a Where's Wally of the keywords in these images. Like guarded, this looks very guarded in the Two of Wands, and why would you be guarding in the Two of Wands when you're supposed to be? It's quite an expansive card. And then like uncertainty and distrust, which I suppose you could see there being, or I could see there being a lot of distrust represented in the strength, in the sense that that's what you're overcoming partly. Like if you think in the sense of trying to tame a wild animal, then distrust is for sure going to be something that you've got to reckon with. So I don't think these like super work, but I do quite like them. And then I have no idea what instinct wants me to pair these together, but this is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. Oh, but hey, my instincts might be onto something. Because although the art style is obviously like traditional tattoos, it appears to have been, I don't know if this was done in pencil, I doubt it was done in pencil, but maybe it was. But anyway, it looks quite similar. Like this looks like coloured pencil drawings to me in the Mystic Martian. And it looks, at least it looks like a very similar texture in the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. Flower of Life, Inspiration, Awe and Dreams. Definitely works with the Page of Cups. I don't see that on the 5 of Wands so much, but yeah, I like this actually. Hey, my instincts were maybe not off base for once. Like especially like this Temperance, I just feel like goes so well with the vibes of the Mystic Martian. So I love these green edges, and I quite like the keywords, and I quite like how it's quite neutral in a lot of ways. It's not overly, again, it's not overly like nice washed as a deck, and a lot of the keywords can be read quite neutrally, and I think for that reason it pairs quite well with tarot as a structure, even if not necessarily the decks that I've tried to pair it with. Okay, so very briefly, because I don't really have anything to say about this one. So this is the Hellenic Oracle. And I did kind of play with some pairs for the sake of playing in the unboxing I did with this. But I don't plan on actually reading this with tarot, at least not anytime soon. I got this mainly as a study tool. How I've decided to do that study, I've not yet quite worked out. But that's why I have this. And so I'm not playing with any pairs with this one, but if you do want to see a couple, then check out my unboxing and playing with pairs video that I did. I got this and I got a couple other decks from Make Playing Cards. this is one you've seen before. I have been singing this deck's praises recently, I feel like. This is the Sustain Yourself Oracle. It is by the same author, creator as the Voyager Tarot, which would make sense to pair with this, wouldn't it? But that's far away and I'm lazy. And it looks much the same. So this is a like analog collage. I think this is made out of National Geographic magazines. And there's a title at the bottom and a keyword at the top. And then there's a little bit more in the guidebook as well. And I have one pairing of this, and I'm going to talk about this more in my Leo season wrap-up. I'll film it next week. Oh, that's... okay. I'll film my Leo season wrap-up next week. I don't know when you're seeing this video or when you're seeing that video. You may have already seen that video, because I know this video that I'm filming right now is going to be really long, and I don't want to edit it. So it'll be when I have the energy to do the editing. Anyway, I think these two look really good together. I love that I have death and darkness on the same pull, but I just think they look really good, and I feel like it's not choosing, that the randomness factor is not working in my favour right now. But there's just something about it. There's something about the like chaos of the imagery on the cards, on the oracle cards, paired with the like much more kind of clean art style of the Dream Visions tarot. Did I mention that's what this was? And also the blue and the green borders of the Sustain Yourself, I just think go really well with the art palette, colour palette of the Dream Vision. There's a lot of blue in this deck especially. Adaptability between Five of Cups and Judgment. I think adaptability as a kind of solution for the Five of Cups is a really good thought actually, because I think the Five of Cups is very much like focusing on the losses in front of you and not seeing what's still behind you. So that adaptability, that ability to like turn around and keep moving and make a new plan is needed often. And then with Judgment. So Judgment for me is very much about kind of laying it all bare and laying everything out in front and kind of seeing what's really going on. So adaptability kind of works. Sustainability with the Devil and with the King of Wands. I feel like you could definitely position the Devil and the King of Wands as like opposing archetypes in a lot of ways. I don't know what that has to do with sustainability. I'm just thinking out loud. Let's do one more. Freedom with the Two of Wands and with Justice. I mean, the truth will set you free, right? And then I really like freedom with the imagery on this Two of Wands, especially this kind of like the whole world is out there in front of you. Like that. Okay, so that is the only pairing I have for the Sustain Yourself. So this Oracle deck came with the Tarot of the Crystal World, which I backed on Kickstarter, and the Oracle deck was a stretch goal. And so this is never one that I like intentionally brought into my collection, but I do like it. And so obviously we've got to pair her with the Tarot of the Crystal World because that just makes sense. And obviously the art styles work very well together because they are the same art style and it's kind of a natural pairing, but not a very interesting one. So I'm going to move that along. But one that I think might really work is with the Fifth Spirit Tarot, which I've been absolutely loving lately. So any excuse to bring it back out again is fine by me. So, a remembered dream between the Ace of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. I think I really like the way these look together with these kind of not quite black borders and off-white backgrounds here. I think they look really good together and I think the art styles are quite similar. Access to the cosmic, strength and the Page of Swords. Closed eyes between the King of Cups and the Queen of Swords. I think closed eyes paired with the Queen of Swords is especially interesting because the Queen of Swords mirrors justice so strongly and is quite a quite a like inverse archetype compared with the, because this is air of water and this is water of air. So, but I feel like they're very different energies, and I quite like closed eyes in between these two, because it's like, yeah, because they are such like an inverse pairing. They're obviously not seeing eye to eye. Oh, I really like that. Two of Wands, Three of Pentacles, and Rebellion. Well, that just makes sense to me. Like, you've got the planning and you've got the collaboration, and then you've got rebellion, which is, you know, generally coming together to fight, to combat something oppressive for what you, obviously, you think is the greater good. So it's quite like a practical framing for something as huge feeling, huge seeming, and I'm sure impossible seeming as rebellion. Because if it was easy, you wouldn't need to rebel. Familiar comfort between the Three of Wands and the Queen of Wands, which again feels like quite an oppositional, I don't know if oppositional is the right word, but like, not oppositional, opposing, different, contrasting energy to the Queen of Wands and the Three of Wands, because obviously the Wands is all fire and passion. I don't see the Wands as a comforting suit whatsoever. And then to have the kind of Queen of Wands living in that passion, and then the Three of Wands sending out and making plans and making bold moves. Hermit and the King of Swords, open hand. I do not put the King of Swords with open hand in my mind. That feels very different. I'm not sure why. I think the King of Swords always feels quite like removed. And then with the Hermit as well, which is removed in a different sense. Oh, I just like what this is bringing up, but this is going to be an exceedingly long video if I don't move swiftly on. For such a little deck that I don't really use, I'm surprised at how many potential pairings I have for this. So I'm also kind of interested, purely in an art style way, to see how it pairs with the Barbara Walker. Why is Death sitting on top of so many of my decks? Ooh, Returned Thought between the Ace of Wands and Death, like the death of a new idea or the death of this new spark of inspiration returning, or you have the death and then you have that like transformation or that rebirth, and then you have it starting again in the Ace of Wands, which honestly makes more logical and narrative sense, so I don't know where my initial thought was coming from. I'm not convinced the art styles work. Two of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles. Oh, there's keywords as well. Death and power. Change and failure with desire, which I like, because I feel like desire is an innate background emotion to situations where you failed at something because you haven't got what you wanted. And you know, when you're changing something, or when you're performing that balancing act of the Two of Pentacles, it's, you know, you have a desired outcome. I feel like that could be probably said for any cards though. But hey, maybe this is just a good oracle deck. The Dream of the Seven of Cups and the Loss of the Eight of Cups with Child. Oh, do you know what? Oh, I like that. Like the dreams of childhood and then the inevitable loss of childhood. Oh, I like this more than I thought I would. The art style, not so much, but that was kind of a shot in the dark, really. So that was the Barbara Walker in a tin. And then finally, I don't know why I think this might work. This is the Darkwood Tarot. I think maybe the colour palette. I haven't tried any of these. It's purely based on, you know, whatever I've got that passes for intuition. Again, I quite like the spiky art style I just think it suits the crystal world quite well. So the Nine of Pentacles and the Four of Swords with resistance. Well, there is no resistance. That's the whole point of the Nine of Pentacles, is that it's easy, that things have come to you. You're no longer in a state of resisting things. closed hand with the Three of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. Culture's air with the World and the King of Cups. Maybe it's just the cards I'm pulling. I'm not feeling this so much. Feet in the earth, Four of Pentacles, well that works. That really works. Feet in the earth with the Four of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. I mean, this is very much like you're too grounded. You're too, not too grounded, but too holding yourself to your resources, to your material, whatever. And then the Knight of Swords is very much like you're so taken up with your ideas and with the air of it all, that you're moving too fast and you're not touching the ground whatsoever. So that's an interesting opposition anyway. Let's do one more. Gratitude with the Ace of Pentacles and the Chariot. I love the art on this card in particular. It's just stunning. And that like self-love and self-gratitude is just gorgeous. So gratitude with the Ace of Pentacles and with the Chariot. Be grateful for your opportunities and run with them. I don't know. Anyway, I think that was, yeah, that was everything of the Crystal World Oracle, I think, that I wanted to try. So this is another one that I know I've shown at some point before. This is the Urban Crow Oracle by MJ Cullinane. And so naturally, the first obvious pairing is with her Crow Tarot. I do not think I like this backdrop. I think it's too busy. But hopefully it will show up a little differently in editing. So commitment between the Nine of Swords and strength. Teamwork between the Page of Wands and the Star. Oh, I quite like that. I mean, the pages aren't especially known for teamwork, I don't think. But as a bridge between like being in this place and being in this place, I feel like maybe, is that just in my head? Quite possibly. So yeah, this obviously works because it's the same art and the same art style, same artist, and thus the same art style. So that one makes sense, but we won't spend too long on that. Okay, so this is the Tarot of the Crystal World again. And I've shown this before in some manner of wrap-up or favourites, I think it was. I kind of... Actually, do you know what? I don't know if it was with the Oracle or if it was with the Crow Tarot. I don't remember at this point. But I liked the art styles together more than I would have expected to. Oh, Sacred Space with like the Queen of Cups and the Ten of Cups. That's gorgeous. Thinking of that like nurturing and that like emotional completion, emotional security, a sacred space, that's lovely. Dominance with the Eight of Cups and the Moon. Do you know what? I could totally see, maybe not this imagery quite so much. It looks less positive skewed than some Eight of Cups, but with say like the Eight of Cups as dominance over the shadowy things that have come out in the Moon card, and then you're setting your things down and you're walking away. I could see that. Survival with the survival next to the Tower. Wonderful, love that. Yeah, trust your gut, survive the Tower, that'll do. Anyway, I really like these together, and again, I'm not sure if it's this Oracle or the Crow Tarot that I've used this tarot with before, but I definitely really like it, and I think it was completely random. It was just because I had them both out that I ended up reading with them together in the first place, but it works for me. Okay, who is next? This feels really random and I'm not convinced this is going to work, but I want to try it, and that's what this is all about. So this is the Vampire Tarot, illustrated by Nathalie Hertz. This is out of print, I think. I know I got this secondhand off eBay. Oh, there's that moon again. Yeah, I quite like it visually, actually. I just thought, because there is a bit of like a depth, a darkness, severity. Severity is the word, not darkness. There is a bit of a severity to the Urban Crow, and there's a bit of a severity to Nathalie Hertz's artwork, and obviously there's a lot of dark imagery in this deck, and resistance between the Five of Wands and death. Ooh, I like that. Because death is often showing up as a change that needs to happen that we're resisting, and the Five of Wands, I feel like resistance is a good way of thinking about the Five of Wands, actually. Like I said earlier, I see the Five of Wands as that kind of competition, or, you know, either with others or of having too many ideas, too many plans, too many things to do, too many things to focus on in your own head, and so not being able to pick a focus and not being able to kind of win. You know, you can't have 5 top priorities. And I feel like there often is a resistance there to like simplifying things down, or to dropping the argument and walking away. Ooh, interesting. I just adore this Chariot. I think it's so much fun. The Chariot with insight and the Page of Wands. Oh my goodness, I have completely lost my train of thought because there was a very noisy siren outside, which somehow seems to be getting louder again. That's ridiculous. Anyway, it's rush hour traffic on a Friday, so I feel like it's quite ironic that the Chariot popped up, because that ambulance was not moving very quickly. But yes. Anomaly with the King of Pentacles and Strength. I don't know what that means, but I like the look of it. And was that? No, there was one more that I wanted to try with the Crow Tarot, and that is the Lubanko Tarot. Again, because it's dark colour palette and it's a little bit spiky. And so I feel like it might work quite well with the severity of the Urban Crow. 10 of Pentacles, the Fool, direction. Ooh, I like that. Should we zoom in? Because I feel like I could read it this way and be like, the legacy of the 10 of Pentacles being the direction for you to like take a leap, or read it kind of the other direction and be, you know, you're taking this leap, you're taking this chance, and either in the direction of creating something that's going to be lasting, or under the guidance of something that has that kind of like legacy. Ooh, I do like that. I also think I really like these color palettes together, although this one looks a little bit, I don't know, because this has got the borders and it's quite a similar color to like the titles here. I think it works. I think it's fairly cohesive. So preparation, the 8 of Pentacles in the World. I like preparation with the 8 of Pentacles, actually, because I always think of the 8 of Pentacles as being like perfecting a task, or perfecting a skill rather, in a sense that can almost border on either obsession or stagnation. And the way that you either need to prepare, that's the, you know, having that skill set being at the point of the 8 of Pentacles is either a result of having done a lot of prior preparation. So my camera cut me off while I was rambling about preparation of the 8 of Pentacles, which is probably for the best because I don't think it made very much sense. But yeah, I really like these together. And you know what? I like risk with this 6 of Cups in particular, because this 6 of Cups in particular I think speaks a lot to like how we can feel like our childhood is, or was looking back, kind of very contained, which can be, you know, it sometimes, especially like from a queer perspective, like you might spend a lot of your formative years being quite careful and keeping certain things contained because it would be a risk to let them out, to come out. And then there's always a risk in creation, is there not? Ooh. Yeah, I like these together. I like these together, and I think this was my last deck for the Urban Crow Oracle. This is in a very boring bag that I promise I'll decorate. This is the, what's it called? The Faeries Oracle? Yeah, the Faeries Oracle by Brian Froud and Jessica Macbeth. Okay, so this is the Faeries Oracle, and again, I either will have or I'm about to show this in my Leo. So maybe you have already seen this on this channel, but at the time of filming you've not, in my Leo season wrap up, because I've been feeling the fairies recently, which is kind of new territory for me. So I bought this, and I don't, again, kind of like the Hellenic Oracle, I don't necessarily plan on reading this with tarot, at least for the time being. I think I'm just going to like pull cards and work with the guidebook, but I do have a couple decks that I think might look interesting. So first up is my beloved Terra Volatile. Yes, hello, sweetie. And this is based on the colour palette, not anything thematic. But this has quite like a grungy colour palette to it. So I think if anything works, this might. And I don't know, it might be interesting because there's a lot of alchemical stuff to the Terra Volatile, which might play interestingly, maybe. Maybe not, who knows. I'm very new to the fairy energy. It's not something that's ever like called to me before. I don't know why it is now, but hey, we're following that. Yeah, I quite like how these look. So that's a contender. So this might be sacrilege, but the Tarot Vampires, I kind of just want to pair these and just see what comes of it. Partly this is, again, a colour palette thing, and partly because I know that both guidebooks are packed with stuff that you can study, and so something in me just really wants to put them together for that reason. Do they work? I don't know. Obviously very like different energies, but I quite like how they look. I don't think I have any real intention of actually working with these together anytime soon, because I do not know either deck well, and I kind of want to study them individually. So this is more of like a, like I say, I don't really intend on working with this with tarot anytime soon. But yeah, interesting to say the least. And I do like how they look. But it feels illegal to be pairing these, to be pairing the fairy and the fae with the vampires. Okay, who's next? Next up, The Secret Language of Colour cards. This I've had on my eye. No, I've had my eye on for ages, and it's really cheap, and I picked it up recently. And I wanted this, or the reason that I did pull the trigger on this and bought this deck was because it's got these again, like kind of advice message situations at the bottom of the card, like be spontaneous and have fun, awaken your creativity, connect to spirit in nature, strengthen your body. And yeah, I'll talk about this when I do an Oracle practice update, but I'm having thoughts and feelings and ideas about using these kind of message Oracle decks with tarot to kind of create a tarot spread on the fly almost, and kind of using them to kind of denote card positions. I'm not sure, we're working on it, and I'll let you know when it makes some sense to me. But because this is a colour deck, I have pulled out all of my black and white decks to work with it, because I think that would be fun. So first up we have the Tarot of the Toiling Hands, which is fully black and white. And this is cool because it also has titles. And so I think that's an interesting way to read it. is reading the titles in place of or alongside my kind of library of meanings of the card. So I think that's an interesting way to read these together, or just to read this with Oracle, is to kind of almost use it as Oracle and use the titles. And ooh, I like, so bronze, strengthen your body with strength, the daughter of the spirit of fortitude, like that is very kind of like matching energy. And then the moon, the master of halves and illusion, is interesting. It's like, yes, strengthen your body, like master your inner strength, but not at the cost of your kind of intuition or emotional stuff. Watermelon, have fun with your inner child in between. The Nine of Wands, the Lord of Resilience here, and the Page of Pentacles, the child, a burgeoning awareness of the material. Oh, I quite like that. To kind of strengthen your resilience, you need to have fun with your inner child and like tap into that Page of Pentacles energy, maybe. Take that as like a message. I quite like that. Magenta, connect to your deepest inner knowing, with the Chariot and the Nine of Cups. I definitely like that with the Chariot and like the master of fierce determination, and, you know, take the reins and go by connecting to your deepest inner knowing. And then, hey, maybe that will lead you to a Nine of Cups, overwhelming contentment kind of situation. So I quite like those together. I don't love the art style of the Toiling Hands with the photography deck though, but it's not a bad combo, but not one I love. And then another fully black and white deck, and I have 2 editions of this deck. So this is the mini Lifelines Tarot, and I think this might work better because it's so simplistic in the artwork. The size difference in these cards is hilarious though. So you've got like the colour and then the black and white on the outside with I think this works a lot better visually with this much more simple line work. I like rejuvenate your body, sitting between 2 cups cards. One being like the water of water, like the most emotional you can get. And then this like celebration. You've got to focus on the emotional in order to maintain the physical or something. Yeah, I like that. Allow flow and synchronicity into your life between these quite opposite energies. I feel like the Eight of Pentacles is hard work and perfecting a skill. I know this has come up already. And then the Hanged Man is that kind of like, I feel like that associates quite well with this like allow flow and synchronicity, because it's more like allow things to happen. Don't just work so hard. Anyway, and then I'm also going to pull out the other version I have of the Lifelines, which is the Colour Outside the Lines version here, which is mostly black and white, but does have a little bit of colour to it, and I just think that looks really nice. And I think I'm right. Whoa, that is throwing off my white balance. It's also just got gloomy again outside, so my camera ain't happy. Revitalize your nervous system with the Hierophant. That's not the direction I would go. And the King of Pentacles. You know, these are both authority figures. I don't know what that has to do with my nervous system. Authority figures make me nervous. The Eight of Pentacles again. Ground yourself. Say no to the cup in front of you. Focus on the task at hand. Am I being a bit flippant with the cards? Yes. Learn to scan your body. Temperance. And the Seven of Cups. Oh, intuitively, I feel like this makes sense, but I'm a little bit too tired to like make the connections here. Like, learn to scan your body. That's definitely like a leaning into the like material. And then you have this array of options here and the blending of things here. I feel like it's a condensing down. And maybe that's how you unite or synchronize the like emotional and the spiritual with the physical. I'm rambling. I like this combination though. Okay, so this is another stupidly tiny deck next to this massive, the massive cards of the secret language of colour. But again, it's black and white with a splash of colour. Not my favourite. I think, again, the line work is a bit too, I'm not going to say messy because it's not messy, but just the style is not as clean and as simplistic or as minimal as the Lifelines decks are. So I think it doesn't quite work. But yeah. Hey. And I think, yeah, that was the last deck that I had for pairing with the secret language of colour. So the final deck that has never before been seen on this channel is the Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck. This is new to me because I am big into my astrology at the moment and I've wanted this for ages. And I finally got it. I was kind of umming and ahhing between a couple different astrology decks, but I think this again is primarily, it's not for study, but it's to kind of aid with study a little bit, because you've just the way that it's set up and all of the stuff in the guidebook. I think this is going to be helpful as like a practical exercise when I'm reading up on astrology things and trying to kind of work out and study what is going on astrologically. But it's a very pretty deck. It's got this gorgeous soft color palette. Let's zoom her in. It's got this, yeah, pastel-y soft palette with kind of these scritchy pencil-y drawings and washes of color, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's not at all my usual style aesthetically, so I have no idea what to pair with her. And like I say, this is kind of a study deck. I'm not necessarily looking to pair this with tarot, but I wanted to have a play. So the first one that came to mind was the Crystal Visions Tarot, which I'm using all the time at the moment. And I just thought especially like the style of the backs made me think that this would work. Why are you looking at the backs and not the fronts, Sylvie? I don't know. Don't ask me difficult questions. There's a lot of similarity in the colour palettes, but this is a lot more deep and bold, and then this is very, very soft. I do think this will be an interesting one to read with Harry because, again, I think these kind of keywords and the way the deck works, the way the Oracle deck works together, like with itself, I think will be really interesting for reading with tarot. But like that I think looks really good, but I'm not sure that they all do. But that I like. They've both got these white borders. It's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I quite like that. So that is the Crystal Visions Tarot. The Way Home. Again, I don't know that this will actually work. I kind of just want to try it. The Way Home has a lot of white space in a lot of the cards. And I say, and pick cards that don't. But so I think it might work. And I think I might be right, maybe. I think that so the Crystal Visions had a lot of people in, and I think that is maybe what was throwing me off with the artwork here. But the Way Home doesn't have a lot of people in, or where it does, it's like they're not real people, they're silhouettes. So I think that works more than I expected. I think some of my favourite pairings today have been things that I was like, well, I don't know, but I'll try it. And it's been paying off. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Cool, so that's the Way Home. I also would like to try the Heavenly Bodies with the Tarot of the Crystal World, which has just been like the most popular deck today. And I like that. I really like the colour palettes. I like that a lot, actually. That looks really good. Again, I have no idea how I'm gonna actually pair this with the tarot deck, but yeah, I quite like it. I like how it looks at any rate. Yeah, that's really gorgeous. Do you know what, the Tarot of the Crystal World in general has just been a bit of a workhorse for me. It's a deck that I pull often when I don't know what deck to use, and as we're seeing today, I like the way it looks with a lot of Oracle decks too. Okay, who's next? This is my last deck. This is my last pairing, and this wasn't really intentional, but I saved. Let's put her in frame, shall we? Let's not hide the last pairing away. So it's the Guardian of the Night again, which I've spoken about 1,000,001 times, is one of my favourite decks. I don't know if it's going to work together, but we'll give her a go. I think it's got a good contrast in the palettes, in the colour palettes. And there's a softness to MJ Culline's artwork that I think like works, or I'm hoping will work. Like, this is very watercolouring, this is digital art, but there's like a blurry blendedness. Yeah, I like that. And I like that this is light and this is dark, but I feel like there's a lot of mutedness to the colour palettes. Like, they're not super saturated, whereas I feel like a lot of the cards in the Crystal Visions were really saturated, and I think that's why it felt a little bit off to me. And again, a bit like the Way Home, this is an animal deck, it's not a people deck. And I don't know, I just feel like that works well with this Oracle. And as I've discussed recently in a whole dedicated video, I don't like people decks anyway, so... Or it's not that I don't like people decks, it's that I don't like decks that are looking at me and that feel realistic. Anyway, oh, that Fool is so gorgeous with the Jupiter. Oh, that's beautiful. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it there. This is a gorgeous frame to end on, so I'm happy about that. So yes, I have about an hour and a half of footage, and as I just slurred that sentence, we can tell that my voice has stopped to work. Stopped to work? Never mind. That is everything from me. Please let me know if you have any of these oracles and what you like to pair them with, if you do like to pair tarot and oracle together. And let me know how you use the Astrology deck and or the Faeries Oracle and or, where is it gone? I don't know where I put it, but the Hellenic Oracle, the ones that I kind of have for like a specific purpose and are a bit more of a study deck, because I'd be really interested to see how different people use those. So yes, that is all my pairings. That is my current Oracle deck collection and some tarot pairings. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Give me a like if you liked it and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.